hours of the regular show on terrestrial radio, and you wanted a little bit more, so that's why you found the Gun Talk After Show podcast, where we saved all the best things that we can't say on regular radio. Now here's Tom, Michelle, and Jim for the Gun Talk After Show.
All right, after show time. Actually, it's the last after show of the year. We have Jim and Michelle. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. You're so subdued.
Yes, it's in last
Are you still in the after Christmas hangover here?
Oh, after show. I thought you said afterglow. My bad.
You know, usually it takes 3 or 4 minutes for it to go off the rails. 30 seconds is maybe a record here.
Turning a new leaf.
Or we're just closing the year out that way to start anew.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next year.
Right.
Okay.
We hope.
Odd. Yeah, maybe
or not. Or not. Yeah.
There's that, you know. Oh, my goodness here. Oh. Well, so, Michelle, first off, I got to find out, have you taken that rifle out? Have you shot it yet?
I have not shot it yet, no.
Okay.
She sold it. She sold it on eBay. Yeah.
Sold it. Yeah, that's right. Your Henry repeating .327?
Yes. Nice little lever action firearm. Mm-hmm. It's a beauty.
Yeah. You know, lever actions are just so cool, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun just to sit there with the function of it, right?
Yeah,
especially in the full auto mode, yeah.
Right. Yeah, get one of those binary triggers. That way it goes off. When you flip the lever down, it goes bang. You flip the lever up, it goes
Imagine
bang.
calling them for tech support. I've got this problem. Hope you guys are going to make a great product, but I'm sure it's pilot error. But
there was, way back, in one of the cap gun lever action rifles that I had when I was a kid, on the lever, they had a little flip up small lever on the lever. And that way, when you cocked it, when you went forward and you came back, this little kind of wing had popped up on the lever, and it pulled the trigger when you smacked the lever down. It closed the lever up against the body of the rifle, so that just by racking the lever back and forth, it went bang. You didn't have to pull the trigger.
Oh, that sounds safe.
That was our version of a 40-plus, 50-year-old bump stock on a lever action.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's cool.
We're all trying to be John Wayne or Chuck Connors on the rifleman back then.
He was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Well, actually, that's the reason when I ordered mine, I ordered the big hoop, which has smaller round count. But I just it was totally. It's not for function. It was just totally for cosmetics.
So you haven't tried the spinning of the rifle yet, have you? The way you did?
Nor will I.
Nor we. At least not with live ammo, I would hope.
Yeah, no. It was just a cool series. I remember it as a kid growing up. Well, I never grew up, but as a younger man, I just remember the show. It was great. That's when it came time to buy one. I said, I want the bigger hoop. Fun. And Michelle's salesman was like, well, you lose a couple rounds doing that. I said, I don't care. I'm not buying it for round count.
You've been like 2 rounds short anyway for a while.
That's what I've been told, yeah.
Oh, no worry about high capacity there, huh? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
We're going to the same place. Oh, that would make you illegal in all states.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, gosh. So, it's that wonderful time of the year when we kind of look at what's gone on. There have been a lot of cool guns brought out this year, some that have been difficult to get, and we're in that cool time when we can talk about some new guns, or almost talk about them. Next Sunday, we will have news about a couple of new guns, and then we'll have more, because we're getting pretty hard up against the SHOT Show. We're right up against it now,
right?
And people are. And it used to be they waited until the day of the SHOT Show and they announced them. Now, they kind of let them out for the public anytime. But there seems to be a flurry around SHOT Show time.
Right. Well, remember in the past, it used to be SHOT Shows where they make their announcements and then the product would hit around June.
Right.
Late
spring. Years later.
If at all, right.
Or one company I know of that would introduce like 20 new guns at SHOT Show. And they had the prototypes there for everybody to look at. And then what they did, Then they went back from SHOT Show and they said, okay, which one's got the most orders? We'll
really?
actually make the top 4.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes. And, of course, the media, the gun media, has put out the information. Oh, these are the coolest things. We're going to have a revolver in 2275 or whatever the heck it was that they brought out. It's all this cool stuff. And then we wait and wait and wait, and they never came out. We go, what's going on? And
I saw it. I swear I did.
Yeah, exactly. People say, you made it up. No. It was actually there in the booth. I saw it. Because now, there was never an actual firing, functioning version of it.
Wow.
And that's how they did their market research. Whichever ones we get the most orders for, we'll make those, and the others, we'll just dump them.
Wow, it makes sense. But just a little... that was Vapor Arms. Wasn't that the company?
Vapor Arms, yes. It was. Let me just tell you, as a gun writer, it was frustrating because you would write about these things, and you think, well, it'll be out in a few months. That's okay, I get that. And the next year, it's not there, and it's not in the catalog. It's just gone.
What happened to Model XYZ? Well, they didn't sell very well, so we...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we actually sold exactly none because we actually made exactly none. And there are companies. I will say one of the things that happens at the SHOT Show is that you sometimes get invited back into the back of the booth, and you're shown guns that are not out there for public display. And sometimes they're just looking for feedback. Sometimes they're saying, we're going to do this, but we're not quite ready for it. But we don't get that happening that often these days, and certainly not from any of the companies that are publicly traded. That's
right now pretty much
so careful.
Pretty much all the companies now that are bringing out stuff, it's pretty much available relatively quick nowadays, right?
Yes.
Ruger was a big turnaround. They were the big turnaround for them.
Oh, yeah. Ruger was the beautiful, I love the T-shirt because when they introduced the P85 in 1985, their new semi-automatic pistol, and it didn't come out. And somebody made up a T-shirt that said P85 and then with a line through it, then P86 with a line through it, and P87 with a line through it.
It's the new P89.
Yes. Eventually we will bring this thing out, perhaps. As you say, what a turnaround, because now the moment that Ruger announces a product, it is already sitting in the dealers. They've already made sure there are guns out there.
Right.
And I think what they do, Michelle, and you can help me with this, it's like they ship the guns out, and usually they hit the dealers, and they announce it like just a day or two later. They make sure there's not much time difference between the two.
Right. Or they'll send you an email. It's like, these are available, not allowed to comment on them until, and wait for the media release. But yeah, lots of times those pistols are there waiting, ready to be put on display.
Do they ever sell you, do they ever, ship you pistols or any product and say, okay, here, you got it, but you got to sit on a week. You can't sell any until such and such day, or the day they hit, can you sell?
There's a couple of occurrences where we have to actually hold on to it, but it's available to us. And that's very visible with the paperwork. I mean, it do not put on
It's all
display.
embargoed, and it's not... It's not subtle.
Right.
It's like, you cannot sell this until this date, and literally until this time. This it's a 4 o'clock release or whatever it happens to be. And we get the same thing. They'll say, okay, we got this new product, but it's going to be released at such and such a date, at such and such a time. And that's why these days what you'll see is a bunch of YouTube videos will get released on a new product, and they're all released like at
12:01
p.m. Eastern or 12:01 or whatever it is. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And for those of us who play by the rules, now there are always some that don't. And what happens there, and this is the inside baseball deal, if you're in the firearms media and you release something ahead of when you're supposed to, basically you probably won't be told about it next time something new comes out.
There you go. Funny how that works.
Well, funny how that works. If you decide to not play by the rules, that's kind of what happens.
See, I thought the gun industry in general had no rules or regulations. I thought it was just free
none.
form.
It's right, yeah.
Our favorite distribution system is just to send boxes of them to kindergartens. And then they just, it's okay from there on.
Sure.
And then let the kids take them home.
Sure.
It's fine.
Yeah, that's probably what some folks think.
It's bizarre. The things that people think are actually fact. And, they believe it so much, it's hard to dissuade them from, when you say, well, there are already background checks. Well, no, they're not. Well, yeah.
Well, there's all these loopholes, though.
That's right. We've got loopholes. Gun show loophole. You go, really? Okay, so at gun shows, you don't have to do background checks. Really? That's cool.
Right.
You know, and all the gun shows I've been to, they're doing it wrong because they're requiring background checks there.
The one I go to still has paperwork.
Oh, my gosh. You need to put me on to the right ones because I would definitely go to those. Now, for those who don't know, we're making fun, but yes, as we like to say, all the laws outside a gun show are the same as the laws inside the gun show. Nothing changes because you're in a particular building. How about that?
Well, it's not like no gun zones then. Where step over the threshold and you're a criminal, but you're fine in the parking lot.
We had a personal story. Speaking, this will make sense, the connection to the gun-free zones here. In fact, we had in our neighborhood people breaking into cars. And I like several cars over one, actually was Christmas Eve. And what was interesting about it was, and they did this all over town, evidently the cops said, yeah, there's like 3 young men and we were on their trail. But what they would do is, I don't know how that got in. They must have had like a Slim Jim or, there are things you can have. You can pop into cars.
A beef
Not doing any damage to them. What is it?
I said
yeah,
beef stick.
Yeah, Slim Jim. Yeah.
Step into a Slim Jim.
Okay, anyways, sorry.
I don't know where we've gone, but it's unrecognizable.
But I'm really hungry all of a sudden.
And it's spicy. So, but what they did is they just go in and they would lift up the center console and look in there and leave. So these cars were all left with the center console up. They left stuff inside the cars that were like in the back seat. I think they're looking for guns.
Yeah, guns only.
Mm-hmm. Sure sounds
like it. I think they took one knife out of one car I know of, but I think they were just going in, flipping those open, looking for guns. If they didn't find it, keep moving. Which takes us to the idea of gun-free zones. If you are carrying a gun and if you just choose to honor a gun-free zone, then what do you do with your gun? You leave it in your automobile. And there are a lot of guns stolen from cars and trucks.
Yeah, talk about an easy mark. Gun-free zones are targets for, they're soft targets for murderers, etc. But it's also thinking about that on the backside of that. Hey, there's a no-gun zone here, such and such. We'll just hang out, wait till everybody's inside the event, and then boom, boom, boom.
What I would do is I would hit all the pickup trucks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, honestly, wouldn't you?
It makes sense.
Do profiling. I'm going to hit pickup trucks that are parked at an event around a gun-free zone. You bet.
And stay away from the hybrids and the...
Probably not a lot of Priuses in that mix. I'm just thinking. Now, I realize I'm profiling, and that's not allowed, but... So there that is.
But it sure is fun.
It's just one of those things I was thinking about is, a lot of guns. And I would ask people, please don't leave your guns in your cars overnight, even if it's in your driveway. These guys, that's what they do. And, one, you don't want to lose your gun, but 2, you don't want to throw that gun out into the criminal marketplace. Yep. It's the other part of that thing.
Well, on the upside here in Ohio, we were able to give the middle phalange to John Kasich this week. That was kind of a highlight.
I'm so happy about that. Tell you what, let's hold on to that. And when we get on the backside, we're going to give the information of how John Kasich was kicked in the rear and flipped the bird as he left the office of governor. And frankly, with his actions there, may well have scuttled all of his future presidential hopes, one could hope.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
Your everyday carry advantage. The new M&P Shield M2.0 pistol from Smith & Wesson has the enhancements of the M2.0 line with aggressive grip texture and a crisp and lighter trigger pull. Extremely thin and lightweight, you can carry it all day. Also available with an integrated crimson trace laser in 9 or 40. The M&P Shield M2.0. Visit smith-wesson.com.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gundealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
All right, state of Ohio, John Kasich, governor. He ran for president before, supposedly this middle-of-the-road, moderate Republican, yada, yada, yada. Jim, this is your world, man. This is right there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, to explain what happened here.
Well, there was a pro-gun bill brought before the House and the Senate, and they passed it, and it went to him, and he said, no way, not going to happen. So I'm giving you the long and short of it, and Michelle knows all the details, but long and short of it is that they were pretty sure he was going to veto it, which he did, and so they thought they'd dumb down the language a little bit and take out a couple things, like some kind of burden of proof being on the victim, not the assailant.
In self-defense shooting, one of the things they said was, look, the state has to prove it wasn't self-defense, as opposed to right now, the person who shoots in self-defense, the burden's on that person. We need to flip it around so that the burden's not on the victim who ended up having to defend herself.
Mirroring how many other states in this country, yes.
Right. And so they changed some wording out. Well, Michelle's got an interesting take. She and I were talking about a break during the real show because we don't pay attention to you much.
Oh.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and nor does anyone else, so I'm not offended.
Well, we do have
okay.
We had a listener today. Say what you said to me, Michelle. Repeat what you said to me, because I thought it was brilliant, the way you put it, which surprised me that it came out of you.
I forget what I even said.
Jim, I'm going down for coffee, I think you said. That's what it was. About how
you guys don't even listen to yourselves, much less listen to the show.
About dumbing down the language so that he might pass it, and they didn't.
So
we get a lesser bill.
Right. They had known going in that it was going to be vetoed, that he would not go along with the bill. But yet they continued to dumb down the law, take out important verbiage that was going to go through and clarify things like the fact that people in Ohio could own one of the Mossberg Shockwave shotguns, for instance, because right now, some of the opinions that are out there, it's not a legal firearm in the state due to the fact that nobody has said yes or no.
Right.
So the dealers are stalling and they're not purchasing these guns and not selling these guns. And I said, they should have just left it alone. If they knew that he wasn't going to vote it into a bill, and they could have vetoed the verbiage the way that it was, and then would have been clear. They wouldn't have to go back. And now there's some question as to whether there's question and clerical mistakes.
Right. But there's two sides to that, too. The other thing is kind of like the Trump bump stock ban, where he may have done it knowing that it's going to get overturned, and it just quiets down the masses for a while. Maybe it's kind of deal with it. They knew it would be vetoed, but they couldn't get the override unless they softened it up a bit. It could be that, too.
Yeah, I don't know, because the numbers were pretty outstanding both times, both for the original passing and for the veto.
Oh, there you go.
And the person that is the writer is a huge pro-gun person. So to me, it's very confusing.
Sometimes they don't understand the leverage they have, and to say, okay, he's going to veto anything we put forward, so why would we want to dumb it down? Put it the way you want, and then just override the veto. But Jim, you had a comment earlier. What did he said something about?
Oh, yeah. They asked him, why did you veto this, Mr. Kasich?
Oh,
and his comment, I don't know if this is verbatim, but it's pretty darn close. He said, why would I want to give gun advocates anything?
Right. It's basically, why would I want to give them more power?
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
So our response was, why do you want to lose the 2020 election?
Well, I was just going to say,
why would you bother running?
That becomes the campaign slogan for Kasich is, why would I want to give gun owners any power?
Yep.
I love this. What it does is it simply shows him to be who he actually is, which is a gun grabber, gun banner, and someone who has absolutely no value, places no value on the Second Amendment. He's another one of these guys. In fact, he said, look, I'm a Second Amendment guy. But, and then he went with this whole string of reasons why he was going to veto a positive gun bill. Well, you're not a Second Amendment guy when you do that.
We go back to that same old thing that we've talked about so many times, why this is even in a debate, because it's as far as we're concerned and as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, this is a black and white issue, right? We have the right to have firearms, to bear arms. But, they take an oath to stand by and protect, and yet they don't do it. And what can we do to get them out? We have to wait. We have to wait until their term is over, not vote them in. There's all these things. But, the fact is they shouldn't be there.
Right, but the problem is, like Tom had said, you got a lot of people that are good old boys network on both sides. We need more people like Trump that are hated by everybody that'll actually go and do their damn job.
Oh, he's not getting anything done. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
What a failure.
Well, one of our big problems, frankly, is that the GOP, the Republicans, are only slightly better than the Democrats on guns. The reality is we choose them because they are lesser of an evil than the Democrats. If we had a different choice, and, it's kind of one of those, okay, at what point, and I don't know the answer, at what point do you say, I'm done with you, GOP, I'm going to go third party, even though I know the reality of it and what that really means, but just as a way of saying, if we don't start doing this at some point, we will always continue to get what we get, which is to be taken for granted by the GOP and to be stabbed in the back by them on a continuing basis.
Right.
Well, in the stats, how many times do these stats have to come out that it is a safer world, that it is less crime, that there, that all of these things have lessened since more and more people are carrying concealed. The social media and the way the news networks are, you hear about it immediately and you hear about it for a week. And so it's just, that's the part that has changed, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, as we look at 2019, I think one of the big dangers we face from a legislative side is the so-called red flag laws, because they're able to portray those in such a way of, why would you want a crazy person or somebody who's, threatening people to have a gun? Why would you? And now I see they're saying, well, this would be a way to protect the elderly, is to be able to take their guns away, And, of course, I look at it and say, this is the no due process law. We will confiscate your guns without actually you getting any due process. And if you have the ability to go challenge this in court and spend a bunch of money, you might be able to get them back. But we're going to take them. And once again, this is where President Trump actually said, yeah, you know what? Maybe this is one of those places where we need to throw due process out, take their guns, and then we'll work it out later.
Right.
And you're going, man.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I like you for most things, but there are a lot of things you say that are just flat stupid.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's just dumb.
Yeah, and an addendum to that kind of is not only with they confiscate your guns, you don't get remunerated for it.
Oh, no, it's a confiscation.
Take $10,000 of your guns, you're done. Sorry.
And, knock on your door at 5 a.m. and if you come to the door with a gun in your hand, you get killed by the cops.
Well,
that happened to the man in Maryland.
That was one of the main things that Kasich said. The reason he vetoed the bills because it didn't have a red flag clause in there, and that's what he wanted to be.
He wanted
in
to have the no due process in there. He wanted to be able to take people's guns
we must
away.
remember that at election time.
That is a good point. Yes, he said, if I can't confiscate people's guns without any kind of legal action, then I'm not going to support this. Oh, good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. Jeez. But no, the red flag law, so-called red flag law, which is basically a snitch on your neighbor or your family member, drop a dime on them, have their guns confiscated law, which is what it really is. It can be done by an educator. So someone says, Johnny says that his dad has guns in his house, and his dad yelled at his mother, drop a dime, get the guns picked up.
Yep.
It's the potential for abuse. Actually, it's not a potential. It is a law that revolves around the orchestrated and official use of abuse. It is simply an abuse that's been legalized.
And like you said, it's not just potential. It's already happening.
Well, we already got one guy dead as a result of it. More will be killed as a result of it.
And a couple cops are going to go, too. That's going to happen.
Well, there's something else here. You touched on it. And I've been thinking about this a lot. And it's one of those that you almost don't even want to talk about it. There are a lot of people in this country who are already there where they say, you know what? This far and no more, I will shoot you if you come to take my guns, period. And I don't care if you're a good guy. I don't care if you're wearing a uniform, and I'm pro law enforcement. But if you come to take my guns, I will kill you. I will kill as many of you as I possibly can. That's going to start happening, and probably sooner rather than later. I don't condone it. I don't wish it, but I think it's a reality.
I think you're right, sadly. But on the other hand, I mean, at what point do you say, just keep giving, then, which you're really doing your grandkids and your great-grandkids a disservice by just caving.
Yeah, I saw a meme recently that said, free people who own guns do not get on boxcars to be shipped to camps willingly.
Correct, yep.
And I'm sorry, I know that offends people when you talk about stuff like that. But from my perspective, that when you follow this logically to its end, that's where you end up.
Well, that's what history has shown us.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, but that was then, you guys. Come on, this is the 2019 coming up.
Right.
It can't happen now.
Yeah, that was last year, because when you go to other parts of the world, that's happening right now. In fact, it's happened pretty much everywhere, whether it's Cambodia or Germany or China or any other place where they've had to turn them in.
Yet still there's
your defense? Governments will run amok. Governments will murder their citizens, period. Mm-hmm. If there's nothing that stops them from doing it. Historically, that has happened, time and time again.
Which is what makes the Brazilian thing so cool.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. You might want to recap in case somebody missed that in the show, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, what we're talking about is that in Brazil, the incoming president of Brazil says he is going to issue an edict that gives the right to own guns back to anyone who's not a criminal. So if you don't have a criminal record, you'll be able to own a gun in Brazil, which is a big change from where they are now. And they have, right now they have the utopian Democrat leftist type of gun control where you simply can't have one. Oh, yeah, they also have skyrocketing crime rates. So the new president coming in says, you know what, we're going to give you the means to protect yourself. If you're not a criminal, you can have a gun here.
I'd love to see those stats in a couple of years. Gee, violent crime is down across the board. Huh.
Oh, I just saw talk about massaging the news. I just saw a headline that said some city, I can't remember what it was, some city, their rate of homicide is at an all-time high because of self-defense shootings. Now, isn't that a weird way? That basically, this is horrible because, homicides are up, but actually the thing that made them go up is we had a number of self-defense shootings. I'm going, well, wouldn't that be a good thing? Because the bad guys got killed and the good guys are alive.
Yeah, but not all those bad guys were going to kill all those good guys, so you guys are wrong. Okay.
It's not just, you can scratch your head and go, well, the media will tie itself in knots to try to portray a self-defense gun use, a good guy using a gun or a good gal using a gun, to put it in some kind of a negative light.
Mm-hmm. Spin it, baby. Spin it.
We got the keywords.
Well, that's where the Truth Squad comes in. That kind of takes us to our 2019 Get Involved in the Truth Squad. Sign up. We have a lot of information that goes out there, and basically we're trying to correct. Every time this happens, our motto is, a lie left unchallenged becomes the truth. And so we are always going to challenge it. And, they usually won't admit that they've done something wrong, but if they start getting 10 and then 20 and then 50 and 100 emails and comments challenging on them, a lot of times they will start to somewhat ameliorate or change the way they report on this stuff just because they realize, people are on to us. They're calling us out on this, so we can't keep doing this.
That was a 50-cent word there, Gresham. Ameliorate?
That was, I used to date that girl.
Ameliorate, yeah. Yes. I thought she was a 9, really.
Michelle,
we have
your work is never done.
Yeah, we have hope for the new year.
Right. But being the optimist, at least we're consistently in poor taste.
There is that. All right. So for 2019, each of you quickly, what's your plan when it comes to guns? Buy more?
Shoot more for me.
Train more?
I want to shoot and train more, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hardware-wise, I'm okay for a while. Till next week.
Until the new releases on SHOT Show.
Till whatever new comes out.
Right.
Till they release a bolt action 327.
Yeah, automatic. Fully auto, bolt action, semi-auto lever.
I think I want to take a carbine class, a 223 carbine class. I've never taken one of those. I've had some training, but I've never taken like the real deal, 3 to 5 days of using an AR. And I think that'd be fun.
That'd be neat. I thought about tacking on, this would be my illumination, my year of illumination. where I would get the firearms I have that don't have lasers on them and laser equip them.
Lasers and lights even.
Yep, lasers and lights, like that 365 I got. They're coming out with one. They have one that's kind of a universal. It's too bulky, but they have a specific one coming out. I don't know if Crimson's released it. They announced it last week on the show.
Right. They'll probably have it in just a few weeks. It'd be my guess.
So I'm holding off for that. But, I mean, there's several. Like my shotguns, I don't have any lights or lasers on them. It's like, why not? So I think instead of hardware, I'm going more for accessories.
Crimson Trace has some kind of promotion going, too, right now, where you buy a laser, you get a light for free. I think there's something like that out there going.
If not, I'll say that the representative from Cleveland's told me that you guys are going to honor that, right?
I think I saw a video of that somewhere.
I'm a big believer in a big rubber band and a Rayovac flashlight. Just on the barrel, you could just slap that thing on there. You're good to go.
It looks good. That's a good look, too. Highly reliable.
It's a good look. It looks like a flashlight wearing a gun.
The big Maglite D-cell flashlight.
We just ran across one of those old D-cell Maglights. It's like, that was actually the quasi-baton that a lot of bad guys got whacked on the head with back in the day.
Oh, my goodness. And in looking at that, don't you think the police are better equipped now with they have far more that they carry now, but things are so lightweight and less burdening on the body.
Oh, yeah.
It'd have to be. But,
you bet.
Yeah, it's amazing the changes that have come along in 30 years, 25 years.
So for anybody who's not carrying a light daily, do that. Try it for a week or two. You'll never go back.
Yep.
Well, it's amazing. I guess kind of take some friends and turn out the lights in the living room and have them go to different places and turn on a light and see what you see or see how many people you think you see. Because, depending on the beam and the wideness of the beam, you might not pick up the fact that there's actually 3 people. You might only find 1 or 2 of them. So,
and one of the tricks is to just shine it up on the ceiling. It illuminates the whole room as opposed to pointing it somewhere.
Right.
There's a lot of little tricks you learn in these illumination classes, too.
Unless you're in a black hole, then the light gets absorbed and you kind of, at that point.
That's right, because gravity's so strong, light cannot escape from the black hole.
And that happens to a lot of our listeners, I'm sure. I just want to kind of cover all the bases with that, in case you happen to be in one.
Several of us have said that Jim actually probably does live in a black hole.
Yeah,
but that's a whole different thing we're talking about there.
Yeah, different kind of brain vacuum.
I can neither say this is true or not true.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
All right, so if I'm doing illumination and Tom's doing training, what are you doing for 2019, Michelle?
I don't know. I haven't made any plans like that.
Right, you're not leaving the studio until you give us an answer. It's just that simple.
I got nothing.
We want a calendar entry, and we want to know when and where. And
how did it make you feel?
Also,
what are
you
your
go
emotions?
ahead and give yourself a grade for your class.
And you better FaceTime live it, Facebook Live it, because if you don't, it never happened.
Yeah, well, I'm not on Facebook, so that's not happening.
Okay, damn.
Or I can say I did it, and it's not my fault you didn't see it.
I guess I better pull out a
We got her
pillow and
kicked
blanket.
off of Facebook.
Yeah.
It's okay. We got her kicked off.
So radical. Well, will you let us know in 2019? Well, you've got 1 week to answer this, okay?
Okay.
That's right.
That's the pressure.
And you guys be safe on New Year's Eve, all right? That's for everybody. No shooting guns in the air, please.
Right.
We're not going to be doing that. Be safe. It is, as a friend of mine said, it's amateur hour. It's for drunks. It's when all the amateur drunks try to drive, as opposed to the regular
seasoned veteran,
drivers.
right?
So be careful out there. Exactly right.
Have a great New Year, buddy.
All right, we'll do. I'm going to hunker. I guarantee you. So you guys, we will talk to you on the flip side.
See you. Take care.
Well, that wraps up another Gun Talk After Show. But if you want even more gun-related stuff, don't forget to check out Gundealio. It's the app for Apple and Android phones that connects you to all the Gun Talk shows, plus even more. And we'll catch you next time for the Gun Talk After Show.